Whew, the Battle of the Redbirds, man. What a show in the desert. This game and 14 others led to a couple more playoff spots being clinched. And also the first round of the college football playoff is all said and done. We're talking about who won and also who has gone where to play one of the teams that had a bye. I have a good feeling that we're going to have some good games in those quarterfinals. College football season is almost done, and so is the NFL season. I can't believe time has already gone by. But anyways, let's get you to it. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football, ladies and gentlemen. We have got ourselves Friday and Saturday of college football to react to, so same with NFL Sunday. 6 games in college, and we also have, I believe it is 11 games of NFL to talk about here. Oh wait, there were also Saturday games, so yeah, it's 13. 14. If you are enjoying this series, make sure you give this video a big fat thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos, because it helps the channel a lot as well. This is the greatest as always, and without further delay, let's get straight to it. We're kicking this episode off with the Myrtle Beach Bowl, where the Western Michigan Broncos, the MAC champions, defeating the Conference USA champions, Kennesaw State, actually spoke on the floor with them, 41-6. It was 27-0 in the first quarter, and yeah, Kennesaw State just couldn't recover from that. Good thing I picked Western Michigan to win this game. Mariota did throw a touchdown, but he did struggle in this game. 200 yards, also threw 2 picks. And Chase Belcher, 150 yards rushing. He didn't have a bad game. That one touchdown pass went to Javon Rogers. For Western Michigan, it was just all business. Brock Lowry, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 120 yards at 12 of 19. He was very surgical. 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Jalen Buckley, 174 yards. Devin Miles, 68 rushing yards. So they combined for over 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. This rush attack was dominant. The 2 touchdown throws went to Blake Bozma and Marion Rabowski. I think I said that right. What a game for the WMU defense. I believe they got 5 sacks on the game and 2 interceptions from Joey Pope and Tate Halleck. Nice. But you know what's not nice? Killing a team that making their first bowl game in their history by 35 points. That's what's not nice. You did not have to do the boys like that. Now we move on to the Gasparilla Bowl. NC State killing Memphis 31-7, and unfortunately I did pick the Tigers to win. It was more of like hate for NC State for beating Georgia Tech on ended their perfect season. And ended it spiraling out of control. Rough game for Memphis. Rush attack was decent. Brendan Lewis, yeesh, not a great performance. 100 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And that 1 touchdown pass went to Shamari Hawkins. CJ Bailey on the other hand scored 3 times, 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground, along with Will Wilson. Those 2 touchdown passes went to Wesley Grimes and Teddy Hoffman. Defense playing extremely well, especially with the interception by Caden Forham, but only holding them 7 points. That's pretty good. I get it, like it's group of 5 versus power 4, but you gotta understand, Memphis was pretty close to making the playoff. They were one of the contenders out of the AAC until they completely collapsed. Now we move on to the playoff game where the Alabama Crimson Tide defeats the Sooners after being down 17-0 in the first half to win 34-24 over Oklahoma. Oklahoma just can't seem to win their first playoff game in any year. It seems like it's the same shit every single time. Struggling first half for Ty Simpson, but then in the second half and also late in the second quarter, he got it together. 18-29 for 232, 2 touchdowns. Daniel Hill scored the rushing touchdown of all people. Yeah, because they shut Jam Miller down, the Oklahoma defense did, rather. And those 2 touchdowns went to Lazier Brooks. But seriously, what the hell happened to Ryan Williams? Like, he was hailed as one of the best receivers in the country, and then in this first playoff game, he gets 1 catch. Big game for the Bama defense. I counted 5 sacks for this team, and also an interception by Xavier Brown. Pretty much changed the game. Oh yeah, that was a pick 6. Once that pick 6 happened to tie the game up, I just knew Bama had all the momentum going to the second half, and it showed. Hot start for Oklahoma, and then all of a sudden, they just choked. Like, Mateer had 3 total touchdowns, 300 yards passing, but also threw a pick. Deion Perks caught a touchdown, also had 100 yards receiving. And the other touchdown went to Isaiah Satedna. 4 sacks for the defense, but it's just like, they just completely collapsed. Almost seems to be that the committee somewhat got it right. Yeah, I still don't think so. In my opinion, you have 3 losses before the playoffs, you're out. Don't matter what conference you're from. Moving on to the Saturday side of things, Miami defeated Texas A&M in a very defensive battle that was 0-0 at halftime. Miami won 10-3 in College Station. So Bama and Miami are the only road teams in the 12-team playoff era to win on the road, like true road playoff game. Rough offensive game, unless of course you're Mark Fletcher, because this guy went sicko mode and had 17 carries for 170 yards. Oh yeah, I almost forgot something. That one touchdown went to Malachi Toney. Yeah, the only touchdown in the game. Then we had 7 sacks from this defense. 3 from Bain, 2 from Scott, and we also had 2 interceptions by Mr. Bryce Fitzgerald, including the game sealer. It would have been a lot more comfortable win if Carter Davis would just make the 3 field goals he missed in this game. For Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, he was able to move the ball, but when it mattered most, he just shoved it through 2 picks. Murray Craver did the best in helping to move the ball down the field, but unfortunately, it just was all for nothing. You really didn't let Carson Beck throw an interception. You only got to him twice? Really, A&M? Think Randy Bond for getting the only points of the game for you. So you're telling me I have to watch Sid the Sloth and the Crystal Ball go against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl? And we have to see a 3-loss Alabama going against Indiana in the Rose Bowl? College football, man. You're always full of surprises, both good and bad. Hate to say I told you so, but yeah, I told you so. Ole Miss beat the Braves out to Lane once again, 41-10, without their head coach. You couldn't beat him with Lane Kiffin, and now you can't beat him without him. Just so sad. I mean, to be fair, Retzloff wasn't absolutely awful, but 300 yards, 1 touchdown, also threw a pick. That was backbreaking. That's what got this game spiraling out of control. And Shaz Preston, 5 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown went to Justin Reed. Hell of a game for Ole Miss's offense. Trinidad Chambliss was surgical, 282 yards, 23-29 for a touchdown. Also ran for 2 scores, along with Kawan Lacey scoring, and same with Logan Diggs. Yeah, the backups came out pretty much and took over. And that 1 touchdown pass by Chambliss went to Deshaun Stribling. Team only getting 2 sacks doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, they controlled this game from start to finish. Hell of a game, Ole Miss. Good luck against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Don't think the final score tells the whole story, because it doesn't. Oregon won this game over James Madison 51-34 in Eugene, but don't let the final score fool you. Oregon had control of this game before it even started, and JMU just scored like 28 points in garbage time, which was the second half. It was rough first half throwing the ball for Alonzo Burnett, but then he picked it up at garbage time when Oregon had their backups in. Threw 2 touchdowns, ran for a score, along with Lakota Dipper. Wayne Knight was pretty impressive too, with 100 yards against this Oregon defense. Touchdown throws went to Nick DeGennaro, and George Pettaway. I hope I said that first name right. Really only positives from this James Madison team on defense was 2 interceptions, but yeah, like I said, that was just about it. For the Oregon Ducks, besides the 2 interceptions, it was all business for Dante Moore in the offense. 300 yards passing, 19-27 for 4 touchdowns. And also a rushing touchdown alongside De'Aaron Hill. Malik Benson, 5 catches, 119, 2 touchdowns. And the other 2 touchdowns went to Jeremiah McClellan and Jamari Johnson. Defense in the first half made sure to keep them away from the end zone. Forced only 2 field goals. And, the backups in the second half, they did lots of points. But, hey, the game was already set and done by then. Good win for Oregon. Now they're playing Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. That should be fun. For my opinion on whether the Group of 5 should be included, only if they are one of the 12 best teams. Other than that, no chance. I do agree with maybe just one Group of 5 team to see how well they can do against somebody else, but it might get ugly unless they can somehow find a way. Moving on to the NFL side of things, first off, we had the Saturday football games. First up, Philadelphia beating Washington 29-18 to clinch the NFC East. Finished the Commanders off in the second half, but Jalen Hurts had a pretty solid game. 22 of 30 for 185 with 2 touchdowns. Saquon had one of his best games of the year. 21 carries for $132 and a rushing touchdown. Tank Bigsby also got on the touchdown party. And those 2 touchdown passes went to Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, despite A.J. Brown getting 9 catches for 95 yards on 12 targets. 2 sacks and an interception by Cooper DeJean for the defense, but in the second half, they flipped it around and they were only allowed 8 points in the second half against Washington. For Washington, I mean, I think Marcus Mariota may have gotten hurt in this game, but Josh Johnson had to come in, but yeah, it didn't really change anything. 12 of 23 for 138 yards and an interception thrown by Josh Johnson. What really got this offense going was the run game. Chris Rodriguez had a rushing touchdown along with Bill Krosky-Merritt. Jacob Martin was pretty solid with a sack and a forced fumble on Jalen Hurts, but other than that, I mean, they did their job in the first half, but then all of a sudden, Philly scored 22 points, and that was the end of the good rally Washington had. And with this win for Philadelphia, the streak is over for non-repeat NFC East champs. Philly does it for the first time since 03 and 04. Streak had to be broken eventually. This was the other game here, almost as good as the Thursday game, but hey, still very good. Bears beat the Packers 22-16 on a 13-point comeback. 16-3 the game was at the fourth quarter. The Bears came back and won. Oh, sorry, it was 16-6. But still, Chicago actually made the comeback. I'm sending my thoughts and prayers to Jordan Love. He did get concussed, I believe, in this game, and it's 13 for 77. Malik Willis came in, and he wasn't bad passing the ball for some reason. He was 9-11. Oh, jeez. Oh, not that good percentage. 9 completions for 121 yards and a touchdown. Did get sent twice, but he was solid. The rushing game was pretty decent as well. The only touchdown in the game went to Romeo Doubs with 5 catches for 84. Besides Quay Walker with 14 total tackles, nothing really anything significant for the Packers defense. Way to go, Brandon McManus scoring 10 points on the day with 3 field goals. They were short ones because the Bears defense clutched up in the red zone. Speaking of Chicago, Caleb Williams was pretty solid in his own right. 19-34, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner to DJ Moore, who had 5 catches for 97 yards. Rushing game wasn't that bad either. It was very productive, and the other touchdown, by the way, went to Jahdae Walker. I haven't heard that name in years. 2 total sacks and also 1 turnover. Nashawn Wright forced a fumble that was recovered by Tremaine Edmonds. And yeah, defenses not exactly showed up, but hey, nice onside kick recovery to set up that comeback victory for Chicago. Keira Santos also with 3 field goals. How about that though? Chicago goes from scoring 0 in the first half to scoring 16 in the second half to force overtime and getting the game-winning touchdown. This team, man, they just keep finding ways to win. Moving on to Sunday, we had the Chargers beating the Dallas Cowboys 34-17 to eliminate the Cowgirls from the playoffs. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Like I said before, it was a career day for the offense. 300 yards of 23 of 29 for 2 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. And he also got a rushing touchdown alongside Amari and Hampton. 2 touchdowns went to Quentin Johnston and Len McConkey. I know I've already been eliminated from the playoffs, but hey, at least it helps me in my 5th place matchup. Tuli Tuipulotu had a pretty nice game, a sack and a fumble recovery because of Derwin James getting the forced fumble. That was the only turnover of the game, and yeah, that was pretty much a momentum shifter for the Chargers' way. Dak was pretty good himself too. 21-30 for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushing game wasn't as good this time, and George Pickens, redemption time. 7 catches, 130 yards and a touchdown. Also a touchdown pass to Flanoy. George Pickens needed this game. I know Marquise Bell forced a fumble, but other than that, yeah, this Cowgirls defense sucked. Hey, Jerry, you actually need a defense to win games because, you know what they say, defense wins championships. Chargers had a much better defense than y'all. Up next in a pretty underwhelming game, Minnesota goes on a 3-game win streak to beat the Giants. After beating the Giants 16-13, Giants really getting close to that number 1 pick. JJ Ashley got hurt in this game. He was 9-14 for 100 yards, threw a pick, also ran for a touchdown, so he was, maybe a little bit mid. Still can't trust him to be consistent, though. Aaron Jones was productive in the rushing game with 85 yards. As far as receiving goes, Justin Jefferson, he's starting to come back. It might be too little too late for Justin Jefferson owners. In fantasy football, of course. Vikings defense actually didn't do too bad either. 4 sacks and an interception by Myron Murphy. Pretty good. Jackson Dart probably had his worst game of his time as a starter for New York. 17-13, 33 yards and a pick. Rushing game was really what took over this entire game. Not sure what the interim coach was doing there. I mean, it did produce. And Giants defense had a same game as well. 2 sacks and a forced fumble for Brian Burns. Paulson Adebo had an interception. It was a 4 total sack game. Brian Burns forced a fumble that was recovered by Tyler Nubin. When both defenses are good, the better one in the clutch ends up getting the win, and that was Minnesota's this game. I was thinking the Giants would win and costing themselves a #1 pick, but I guess that'll have to wait till next week. Up next, we got the Bengals and BTA in South Beach against the Miami Dolphins, 45-21. I remember hearing that Joe Burrow actually enjoyed playing football. He would enjoy a lot more if he had a better offensive line and a much, much, much better defense. It would have been nice to have those things, Joe Burrow, better offensive line, better defense. But hey, nice game anyway. 25-32, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Rushing game got a couple scores, including Chase Brown. Ja'Marr Chase led receiver with 9 catches for $109 yards. T. Higgins scored a touchdown. Chase Brown got 2 receiving touchdowns, and Mike Gesicki also joined the touchdown party. And I was just talking shit about the defense, but they got 3 turnovers in this game. 2 forced fumbles from Turner and Battle, recovery by Myles Murphy, and then 2 picks from Barrett Carter and Jalen Davis. Man, Miami's offense struggled to hell. For Quinn Ewing's first start in the NFL, it was kind of mid. Sure, he was 20 of 30 for 260, but he threw 2 picks. The only touchdowns for Miami were rushing. Devon Achane, 81 yards and touchdown. Jalen Wright, 35 yards and touchdown. Malik Washington, a 9-yard run for a touchdown. I guess at least he got Jalen Waddle going. What a disaster for Miami. Not only did they demote Tua to the 3rd-string QB, now they got Chad Powers starting at quarterback, and Mike McDaniel still has a job. I hope he gets fired at the end of the season, though, for all the Miami Dolphins fans' sake. This game was just weird to me. Panthers beat the Bucs 23-20. How? The fall of Tampa Bay needs to be studied right now. How does Time Balls just keep on getting away with this? Baker looks like a shell of his former self. Now he's thrown 145 yards, a touchdown pick. He can't even get 200 passing yards, much less 200 total yards now. Bucky Irvin and Rashad White were productive in the run game, but it was Sean Tucker who scored the only rushing touchdown. I know Baker Mayfield was pretty productive in the rushing game too, but still. Mike Evans scored the only receiving touchdown in this game as well. But Mika Puka, I need to talk about this, man. This guy's falling off a cliff. He was runaway the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year at the start of the year, and then he just went decline. He just went splat. 2 sacks for the defense, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. For the Panthers, Bryce Young was solid with just under 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Rushing game, it was not so bad. Ted McMillan has 6 catches for 73 and a touchdown, and the other touchdown went to Jatavian Sanders. I have not heard that name in a while either. Pretty surprising that there was 2 sacks, and the only turnover came from Lathan Ransom of all people. Man, must have had a ransom on Baker Mayfield bounty there. That ransom was, hey Tampa, hold this L because we are winning the NFC South, signed by Carolina Panthers. Shit. In a little Tank Bowl, New Orleans Saints BTA the Jets in New Orleans 29-6. It was just a disaster for the Jets. Like I said before, Saints might be ass, but Jets are even worse. Definitely a lot better game for Brady Cook this time around, but honestly, that does not say much. I also heard that Garrett Wilson's done for the season. Even worse news for Jets fans. If you are still loyal to the Jets and you're coming to this video, I gotta applaud ya because it is not easy. 3 total sacks for the Jets defense. They get a turnover. Malachi Moore forced a fumble. And Quantez Stiggers, I haven't heard that name in years, gets a recovery. How about Nick Folk, a.k.a. the guy who put a game winner against us earlier this season? In the only points of the game. Just a walk in the park for New Orleans. Like I said before, 1/2 of my Saints hot takes actually came true. Tyler Shuck actually became a pretty good quarterback. While the rushing game floundered out, the passing game actually looked pretty good. Taysom Hill threw a touchdown in his only pass of the game, and Tyler Shuck also threw a touchdown with almost 300 yards. And guess what? Both of those touchdown passes, of course, went to Chris Olave. 10 catches for 148 and 2 touchdowns. Juwan Johnson also 8 catches for 89 yards. Wow. And holy cow, man, this is, 7 sacks in the game. Interception by Jonas Sinker. Forced fumble by Shepard, recovery by Chase Young. Man, it was just business as usual for New Orleans defense. Maybe Marshawn Lattimore was the problem with his defense. And now New Orleans has won 3 games in a row? More than the Falcons. Oh boy. Just imagine if they beat us. That's probably going to happen, isn't it? Next up, the Bills survive a scare in Cleveland against the Cleveland Browns, 23-20. I can't believe this game was close. Man, Shador, you almost did it. Very rough game for Josh Allen. 12 of 19 for 130. No touchdowns, no picks. James Cook had 2 rushing touchdowns and 117 yards. Very nice game. Ty Johnson scored the other rushing touchdown. Greg Rousseau had an impressive day with 2.5 sacks. Daquan Jones and Jordan Poyer both had picks. Defense did enough to hold the Browns to not be able to score to take the lead or tie the game. Man, I really thought Shador was going to pull this off. I mean, rushing game was actually pretty nice. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions on the day, unfortunately for Shador. Bajorquez also threw a pass on a fake punt, and it went miserably. As far as receiving goes, it was Harold Fannin who caught the only touchdown. This guy has turned into the best tight end in the class every single week. 2 sacks the entire game, including 1 from Schlesinger and half a sack for Myles Garrett. So he is 1 sack away, 1 whole sack away from breaking the record. Like I said, Buffalo had to double, triple team Myles Garrett to even prevent him from getting that sack. I bet they're glad it wasn't them that allowed Myles Garrett to break it. I mean, Myles Garrett getting sack record is nice and all, but let's be honest, y'all are still trash. Okay, yeah, I definitely cursed this team. Inexplicably, Kansas City, down to the third-string quarterback, actually lost by 17 to the Titans, 26-9. Haven't heard of Chris Oladokun in several years. I mean, Martin Minshew, believed to have torn his ACL, sending thoughts of prayers to him. So the Chiefs are down to the third-string quarterback from South Dakota State, and he wasn't bad. Rushing game completely sucked. It went down the drain. Receiving, oh boy, yeah, it was just an ugly offensive game. Butker could only do so much. He hit 3 of 4 field goals for the Chiefs. It was just not enough. And Cam Ward ran laps, victory laps around that Chiefs defense. 2 touchdowns, 228 yards. Tony Pollard, 100 rushing yards. Tyjae Spears, rushing touchdown. Those 2 touchdown passes went to Chika Congo and Shamire DK. 4 sacks for this defense, including 1.5 from Truman Jones, and also a forced fumble by Jalen Harrell. I don't think there were any turnovers in this game. It's just Titans defense was a lot better than the Chiefs defense in that week. That's literally what happens when your team is so uninspired because they actually missed out on the playoffs, and your quarterback is out for the season, your franchise guy, your coach and starting tight end are on the verge of retirement. This Chiefs team really went from being the Super Bowl to now whatever the fuck this was. Makes America happy, doesn't it? Up next in Mile High, shockingly, Jacksonville beats Denver 34-20 with a little bit of controversy in my opinion. It seemed like the Jaguars were just getting away with a lot of penalties. Like, there were a lot of push-offs yesterday that literally were not called. A lot of missed penalties. Trevor Lawrence had himself a day again. 4 total touchdowns, almost 300 yards, 23 of 36 passing. The guy can't be stopped, apparently. Parker Washington had a career day. 6 catches, 145 and a touchdown. Brenton Strange also had a very peculiar touchdown because if you saw what happened there, Brenton Strange pushed off to get that score. 14-point swing from rep ball. Push off on Strange should have been OPI. Was not called for that touchdown. There was also one time where they roughed the passer. I don't know why they called that. And it allowed Trevor Lawrence to get that rushing score. Why did the refs always have to ruin everything? Yeah, I saw the game. There were a bunch of calls that were just a bunch of horse shit. Jerry Jones got a pick at the end of the game, aka the guy who got backwards hurdled by Saquon last year. BJ Green, the only sack of the game. Fumble recovery by Emmanuel Ogbah. Haven't heard that name in a while. A lot of guys who had games out of nowhere that I haven't heard from him in quite a bit. Very interesting in this game that the Broncos threw 47 times with Bo Nix. 28 of them were completed for 350 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, and they only ran the ball a whopping 17 times. McLaughlin and Harvey were actually not doing too bad. Like, even Harvey had a touchdown rushing. Like, why not run it a little bit more, Sean Payton? I mean, RJ Harvey had 121 all-purpose yards, so that was amazing for him. Cortland Sutton had the only receiving touchdown. Defense, I mean, besides the sacks, they haven't been their true selves. You know, Frank Myers had 2 sacks and a 5-sack outing for the defense, but no forced turnovers at all. Will Lutz missing a field goal definitely hurt. Obviously, the penalties that should have went the Broncos' way definitely was a big whole thing that could have taken 14 points off the board. Call it what you guys want, but in my opinion, Broncos definitely got robbed of this game. On the other side of the coin, my Falcons win 2 in a row with thanks to the battle of the Redbirds going the Falcons' way against the Cardinals 26-19. I forgot to mention the battle of the Redbirds in the short. I'm such a moron. Nah, I'm just kidding. You guys, I'm your favorite moron. Huge game for Bijan Robinson. I mean, Kirk Cousins threw 2 touchdowns in the pink, but Bijan, 170 yards all-purpose. Got a receiving touchdown along with Kyle Pitts. Had 76 rushing yards along with Algier. Man, I hope we keep Algier at least in Atlanta for at least another season because I love him so much. He's a BYU guy and he's also a Falcon. Like, oh, I hope we get him to stay. 2-sack game for the defense, including one from Ebiketie and the interception of all people by C.J. Henderson. You know, that top 10 pick by Jacksonville that floundered out in not only Jacksonville but also Carolina? And then out of nowhere, he wants to be good. A little controversial interception, to be fair. Maybe he didn't have it. Maybe he did. I guess we'll never know. Falcons defense focused on the passing game, and look what it did. 200 yards, a touchdown in the pink to seal it up. Michael Wilson had a crazy touchdown grab, or at least a sing catch. Maybe it was a touchdown. But the lead receiver, for some reason, was Elijah Higgins with 7 catches for 91 yards. Yeah, Trey McBride finally had a game where he didn't have 5 or more catches. We held it to just 4. Rushing game was pretty solid, too. Yeah, worst rushing offense, my ass. Cardinals defense wasn't that bad either. You know, Denzel Burke got a pick. Darius Robinson, a fumble recovery. I mean, Cardinals were still fighting. I know in all, Bijan now has 2,000 all-purpose yards, the first running back this season to do so, but this is why Zach Robinson needs to be fired, like, right now. Like, the fact that he didn't put his best player on offense out there for that drive to finish the Cardinals off, that's like grounds for immediate firing. Or like immediate contract termination, because that is unacceptable. Thank God our defense stepped up again. Now we have to play a pissed off Rams who lost to the Seahawks in overtime on Thursday night. And they have a pretty good long time until the next game. Yep, playing from Thursday to Monday. Yeah, we are screwed. Another really weird close game, but Texans survived the Raiders 23-21. I guess without Chip Kelly, maybe they're a lot better without him. I mean, Geno looked a lot better. 2 touchdowns, only 1 pick. I mean, he added another pick to his total, but still, 200 yards, 16-23. Genti looked a lot better. 188 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 in receiving end. Woo! And also Brock Bowers got a touchdown. Offense looks a lot better without Chip Kelly. I mean, Chip Kelly is just washed. He's just getting old. I think he needs to leave coaching. C.J. Stroud wasn't so bad. 23-35, just under 200 yards. Touchdown throw to Dalton Schultz. Nico Collins, I will say, made a ridiculous catch to seal the game. When they were trying to get the first down to seal it off. Because since the Raiders didn't have any timeouts. Crazy catch, bro. Normal 3-sack game for the Houston defense. And singly, interception and the forced fumble. Yikes. Guy's still one of the best corners in the game. Yeah, I said it. You may survive this one, Houston, but you're still behind Jacksonville for the division. Yeah, of all teams, Jacksonville is leading the division. Like, what? And now for the final game of the 4 o'clock slate for Sunday, we had the Steelers surviving Detroit. Because of an OPI 29-24, I saw the ending of that game. That was nuts. Crazy red ball. But besides all that, Aaron Rodgers, not a bad game. 266 yards, 27-41, a touchdown. Jalen Warren absolutely broke out this one. 143 yards, 2 touchdowns on 14 carries. Yeesh. It was running backs galore in this one, and also Darnell Washington for a bit. And also Adam Thielen, I guess. Kenneth Gainwell, 78 yards of 5 catches and a touchdown. But I want to talk about DK Metcalf for a second. Yes, we saw footage. DK Metcalf punched a fan in Detroit. And it was before the game, too. There was no flag, so he was allowed to play, even though he should have been ejected. So I don't know what they're going to do with the Steelers. But DK, expect a hefty fine and a pretty good suspension as well. You know, coming in at like maybe a day or 2 from now. Defense finally showed up again. 3 sacks total. First fumble by Keanu Benton. Kyle Duggar of all people getting a sack. Obviously got screwed by a couple penalties that, well, I mean, they did commit those penalties, but the flags were very, very late. Very sketchy, refs. And as far as the Lions, only running 12 times and also throwing 54 times. What the hell? 34, 54 for Goff, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. What in the hell is going on? Those 3 touchdowns went to Jahmyr Gibbs, Khalif Raymond, and Isaac Tesla. None for St. Brown, none for Jameson Williams. Very interesting. Almost won with a touchdown, but unfortunately, Amon St. Brown pushed off, or I can't remember who it was. It might have been St. Brown. Pushed off Jalen Ramsey, and then when he caught it, flipped it over to Jared Goff for a score. If it wasn't for OPI, Lions would have won. Sucks to suck, Detroit. You got bailed out until the end by late-ass throwing flags. Besides the forced fumble recovery by Harper and Jack Campbell, yeah, not much to say for the defense. Yeah, not gonna lie, this was a very weird, controversial game. There was also safety there that I forgot to mention as well. Yeah, very weird, close game, but it was also very enjoyable at the same time. Definitely a very interesting one, I will say that. And the final game we're about to talk about is the Patriots beating the Ravens, making that comeback 28-24 against Baltimore. Another game blown, Baltimore. You thinking what I'm thinking? Baltimore might be the new Atlanta Falcons. Okay, I'll stop. Drake May having a pretty impressive game. 31-44, 380 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Fortunately, Patriots fans, I hate to break it to you, he's not winning MVP. It's Matt Stafford, and it's not even close. Ramondre Stevenson, of all people, getting a touchdown with 8 carries for 51 yards. For some reason, 5 carries for 3 yards for Henderson. That's weird. Stephon breaking out with 9 catches for $138, and the 2 touchdowns went to Kyle Williams and Hunter Henry. Only 1 sack, but 2 forced fumbles and 2 recoveries. Kayvon Chasen forced a fumble at the end on Dave Flowers. I think Jalen Hawkins forced one on Derrick Henry. Craig Woodson and Marcus Jones both recovered them. The forced fumble on Flowers was to seal the game, along with a Drake May scamper for 1st and goal to seal it off. Unfortunately for Ravens fans, Lamar got hurt again. Hurt his back from carrying these guys, even though, he didn't score touchdowns. Derrick Henry scored 2 of them, and Dave Flowers scored the other one. So Tyler Huntley came in, and to be honest, he wasn't bad. And Derrick Henry, about 28 and 2 touchdowns, like I said. Man, rushing game was actually pretty solid with King Henry, besides the fumble. Defense choked again, despite getting 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, an interception by Mother Humphrey, and recovery from Draymond Jones. Absolutely unbelievable. Baltimore, how do you keep doing this? That really sucks, man. Like, for you to have that kind of lead heading into the 4th, let me check which one that is, actually. It was 11 points, I think. Yeah, it was 13-24 in the 4th quarter. Last time they came back from this much it was that Super Bowl. I think fellow Falcons fans know what I'm talking about. Thanks for taking the burden off our chest, Baltimore. We appreciate it. Kinda. And now the Patriots are back in the 1 seed of the AFC. God help us all. That'll do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give this hit that thumbs up, hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace, love, and keep the Grizzly vibes with you at all times. Take care.